What is up guys, Dzeeff here. Apparently the leaks were real because Konami just announced the next event in Master Duel, and it is in fact the Common and Rare Festival. What's cool, and we'll see this as we go through here, it looks like Konami really listened to player feedback when it came to the Xyz Festival event a few weeks ago. You'll see what I mean as we go through what they've announced when it comes to the Common and Rare Festival. So it says the Common and Rare Rarity Festival event will take place during the dates listed below. It starts on March 23rd and goes until April 3rd. That is notable for two different reasons. First off, that is a few more days than the previous event lasted. I believe that the Xyz Festival only lasted about 6 days, but also it seems like April 3rd is just a pretty important day for Master Duel in general because, yeah, this event will end, sure, but also we have the selection packs in the shop rotating out and the duel pass ends too. So April 3rd is a pretty important day for Master Duel. We'll probably have more updates around that time period. Maybe not on April 3rd when everything ends. Maybe it'll be like April 4th or April 5th when new stuff is added, but there could be a lot of updates in early April for Master Duel. We'll just have to wait and see. So let's scroll down here. It says ultra rare and super rare cards aren't the only strong cards. Let's get into the fascinating world of common and rare rarity cards. This is a great way to see how you can build a deck with a select pool of cards. In this event, you are only able to use cards with the common and rare rarity in your main and extra decks. Please check the event exclusive forbidden and limited list for common and rare rarity cards you can and cannot use. Now it seems like here they are saying that they're not going to have a ban list that lists every single super and ultra rare card that is banned. They're only going to mention the common and rare cards that are banned. This is a pretty good change because on the last event's ban list, the Xyz Festival, we had like every single Synchro, Fusion, and Link monster listed, and I don't know why that was necessary. Obviously they could have just said it like the top of the ban list, all Synchros, Fusions, and Links are banned. So it seems like this time around they are only going to mention the commons and rares that are banned instead of going through like every single super and ultra rare, which could be a pretty good change because it means that the ban list will be a lot shorter and a lot easier to figure out what is new. You still win medals whether you win, draw, or lose, but more importantly, there is a change here that says the number of medals you earn will be the same regardless of whether you use your own deck or a loaner deck. So that is a big deal because last time you only got like half of the rewards, I think, for using a loaner deck. Now admittedly the loaner decks sucked. Maybe this time around they'll be a bit better, but that is pretty cool because not everyone wants to build a new deck for this event, and of course just like last time you will not get any medals if you surrender. Now this next section is really cool because Konami really didn't do this with the Xyz Festival event. If I remember correctly, they just kind of like started the event and then showed us the ban list on day one, but at the bottom here it says the archetypes and cards stated above are only a portion of the event exclusive forbidden and limited list. Detailed restrictions will be announced on March 17th. So we have March 17th through March 23rd to figure out what decks we want to play. So this says that all cards with super rare and ultra rare rarity will be forbidden, no surprise there, but also it says archetypes to be limited, and this is only a partial list. Some cards with a rarity of common or rare related to the following archetypes will be semi-limited, limited, or forbidden. So they don't tell us how many of these cards will be hit or how they'll be hit, but these archetypes are ones that Konami is looking at. True Draco, True King, Megalith, Magispector, Generator, Time Lord, Phantasm, Spiral Dragon, and Tenny. Now we're going to talk about all of these decks in just a moment here and kind of go over what cards I think they'll probably hit. So yeah, those are all good archetypes and they all have a ton of common and rare cards, as we'll see in a couple moments here, but I'm not like super surprised that these were hit. I am a little bit curious to see how much Konami will hit them though, because like, you know, Phantasm Spiral Dragon was a pretty big fan favorite. You know that like MBT likes the deck a lot, but just in general, you know, that's a really good budget deck that a lot of players already own. So I'm kind of curious to see how much Konami is going to hit that deck. And I know that a lot of people were excited to play the Tenny deck as well. Maybe Konami is afraid of like the Tenny cards getting splashed in other decks, and that's why they want to hit them. But we'll talk about that in a few moments here. Next up, cards to be limited, partial list, of course. The following cards with a rarity of common or rare will be semi-limited, limited, or forbidden. Cards that deal effect damage to the opponent, cards that can easily be used to defeat oneself, and other cards that may affect the balance of the event. So here's where Konami is saying, we are not going to let you guys play burn decks, we are not going to let you guys play self-TK, or if you want to play those decks, you're going to be playing a much worse version of them. Okay, so a couple things with this. First off, I don't think that Nurse Burn would have been playable in this event. Try and Guess is an ultra rare, and most of the consistency cards are super rares. They might limit like gift card, I guess, but realistically, I don't think that deck is very good in this event. In terms of self-TK, I'm not sure if people are going to really want to play that deck just in general, because I feel like one of the reasons that people used that deck in the Xyz Festival event is that they didn't want to craft any new cards to play in a limited time event. But because this event is all commons and rares, I mean, it takes very little resources to actually build a new deck, even from scratch, so I think people will be really happy to try this event out. But I suppose you could still try to play self-TK. I mean, who knows which cards are going to hit here. I would imagine like the big cards like UA Signing Deal and the Cyber Dragon Fusion card that do a ton of damage would probably be restricted, but I think they're really trying to discourage you from playing a burn deck, whether or not that is burning your opponent or burning yourself. Next up, I want to take a look at all of the different archetypes that Konami mentioned in that announcement that they are going to hit in this event. So first up, we have True Draco. Now, True Draco does lose a few things. They lose Diagram, they lose Dynamite, but they have a lot of their other cards. You know, you still have Maiden, you still have Ignis, you also have like this Mystic Tomato True Draco card, but more importantly, all of the True Draco spell and trap cards here are rares, but you know, maybe Konami didn't want this deck in the format. It seems like Konami really hates True Dracos. They were all banned pretty much in the Xyz Festival event, so Konami clearly does not want people playing True Dracos in these festivals, which is pretty funny. Next up, we have the Megalith deck. So this one basically has every card in their archetype. They have the one that pops, they have all of the main deck monsters except for one, I think. So I think there's only one Megalith card in the entire game that is not a rare or common. So all they're missing is just one card. Yeah, this deck probably would have been really powerful. Next up, let's take a look at the Magispector deck. This has pretty much everything as well. I mean, obviously they don't have Kieran because that card is banned, but you can play all of the Magispector spell and trap cards and their main monster cards. But keep in mind that Konami said they're not going to just outright ban these decks entirely. They also might just limit cards or semi-limit cards. So like in this deck, for example, they could probably limit Bambuku and then also the field spell, and then the deck probably wouldn't be nearly as overpowered in this festival. So it'll be interesting to see what Konami does with decks like this that probably aren't like so overpowered that they need to be banned, but are very good. Next up, we have Generators. Now this one's kind of funny to me because they do not have Boss Fight and they do not have their level 4 monsters. So if you really want to play this deck, I mean, you basically have to open the boss stage, and if you don't, you're probably going to lose. Generators are not a bad deck. They do not have all of the main deck monsters though with these rules. I believe that a couple of those are supers and ultra rares, but it probably still would have been a good engine to play in different decks. If you guys have watched the Master Saga series on my channel, Farfa has used the generator cards a couple times, and sometimes they're able to put up some pretty crazy boards with just that one boss stage. One boss stage is very powerful to open on turn 1. Moving on, we have the Time Lord deck. So pretty much all of the important Time Lord cards are either common or rare. I don't know why Konami like doesn't want people to play this deck in this event. While Time Lords can be kind of annoying to play against, they're not really that good. Maybe with the common and rare only restriction, this deck would have been like too annoying. Maybe it'll just hit like the ones that have the opponent's life points. I'm not even sure which one that is, but one of these like has the opponent's life points. Maybe they'll hit that one and they won't really care about the other ones, but yeah, that is the Time Lord deck. Next up, we have the Phantasm Spiral deck. So this is actually a pretty playable strategy in ranked, even as like a common and rare only deck. I know that MBT posted a great video going over a lot of the cards, but yeah, this deck is very good. You know, it has a lot of really strong interactions. The field spell is crazy good. This card is pretty good. There's a lot of good cards in this archetype, and it's pretty much all common and rare once again. I'm not sure which cards they will hit in this deck. Maybe like they'll semi-limit the field spell. I'm not really sure, because if you limit this card too much, the deck becomes a unplayable, but maybe Konami doesn't want like everyone to be playing this deck, especially considering the Paleozoic cards are all like commons and rares for the trap cards in the main deck. So this would have been like a really good strategy with those Paleo cards. I think it would have been very successful. Next up, and for our final deck here, we have Tennies. So this is a very good deck. I will say with this deck that there already are a few cards that won't be allowed that were like supers or ultra rares. You only have a couple of their extra deck cards here. You do not have Vessel, which is a very good main deck card, but you do still have a lot of the good Tenni monsters. You know, right now in the TCG, a lot of people are playing Adhara, Vishuddha, and Ashuna, and these cards are all legal in this format. Oh, and I forgot to include Heavenly Dragon Circle. This is a rare as well. So this deck probably would have been good, and depending on what they hit, it might still be good. If they want to restrict the actual Tenni deck, they'll probably hit Ashuna, but if they're trying to make the Tenni cards less splashable in other decks, they'll probably hit Vishuddha, because if Vishuddha is left unlimited, I'm pretty sure every deck will play 3 Vishuddha plus 1 Monk in their extra deck just to have like a going second card in this format. But if they want to actually hit the dedicated Tenni deck, Vishuddha would still be a good hit, but more importantly, Ashuna would be a good hit. This is the one that gives you access to all of your other Tenni monsters. Anyway, that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the changes that Konami made with this event compared to the Xyz Festival event. And also, even though I know we don't have the full ban list yet, let me know what decks you are thinking about playing in this event. I'll see you later though. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.